Yo, we live.
What's
Yo,
good, my G? What up?
Good morning. Good
How y'all
morning.
doing?
what up, family?
Good, good. How you?
Hey, good morning, bro.
I'm good, man. We got the new old edition. Just what's good, Just?
Limited edition today.
How you doing, Just? You still
Yeah,
asleep?
right. What's up, bro?
What's up,
Well, you
man?
know,
All right, here we go. What's up, Mom? Good morning, everybody. So for those of y'all who have been with us, this time we're gonna jump smack into it. We're trying to condense our time spent on the call, but give out the same amount of value. So if you're viewing and you got questions, blow the chat up and we can interact that way. Otherwise, we'll review the past week and we'll see what we see for the upcoming week. All right. So anybody got something burning them up that want to go first? No?
And not really. I mean, in general, it's the same thing for this upcoming week, but it's been a little crazy in the market. I think primarily because of the stimulus and whether it's going to pass or it's not going to pass. So it was a rough week for me, if I'm being honest. Just trying to follow, trying to follow what I saw on charts versus the news that comes out, and when that conflicts, it's hard to know which way the market is going. So definitely a tough week.
Right. And then also I noticed too, it seemed like the volume was a little lower this week. Did y'all notice that too? And I muted all y'all because one of y'all was moving all crazy. So you gotta unmute yourself when you're ready to talk. Anybody else see the volume issue?
Nah, I mean, I didn't really pay attention too much to that. One thing I did kind of notice, I know G had told me like that the volume would change, I guess, with pre-market, but I'm not sure if that was, if that correlates with this particular week.
It might have been,
yeah,
because of the holidays, short week, people focusing on their family.
Yep.
So you got a lot of low volume, which also didn't help, the volatility. So
Yeah.
yeah. I also jump in and say that there was definitely an expectation before this week that volume would be low this week because that's kind of a norm leading into holidays. I remember prior to Thanksgiving, I think the market closed early that Wednesday before. So really that Monday and Tuesday were pretty light because for people who are trading for a lifestyle, they they're aware of these trends and most of them back out because a lot of their profits come from volume and just lots of movement in the market that they're taking advantage of. So they just already build that into, I think, their approach that they don't even, they may watch. And if there are certain like breakouts that are key, they may or may not jump in. But I've learned that most of them are aware that volume is low and most of them are super, super diligent and disciplined not to jump in during these like leading up to holidays unless there's an expectation of something that's big.
and that's crazy because I was sitting here this morning just looking at upcoming plays for next week. And so far, I spent about an hour. So far, nothing jumped out. And like after like 45 minutes, I sat back and said, you know what? We don't have to come to this call or we don't have to go into a trading day saying, I have to make a play. I have to put money into something. It's okay to be patient. It's okay to not see anything and wait until something jumps out. So that's a good point by you, Jess. Definitely.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like you have to like make a play, or when you looking for stocks and things like that, or options calls or puts, like why does it feel like you have to play it just because you want to get money, or this is just a question? It's just like you're just so, are you so conditioned, or is it just like you just try to get that bread?
I mean, maybe it's just me, and maybe it's me as a younger trader, like not having a lot of experience. But it's almost like when you go, let me see, like even when you go to the casino, it's like you don't want to miss a hand. It's like you want to be in the mix, and it's not a good thing all the time. So it's that discipline that Just talked about, learning that you basically live to trade another day. So it's something that I think personally I'll get more comfortable with and learn more as I continue to trade.
And it's also too because we
Yeah.
at the begin. My fault, Just. We at the beginning of the game. Like we don't have, at least speaking for us three, I already know we much more interested in cash flow now as opposed to long-term games. But we know we need the cash flow to start to invest in the long-term gains that we have in mind. Right. So it'd be far easier, like, all right, I don't got to trade today, but I know I got A, B, and C trading for the next 8 months. So even when you ain't trading, you trading. So we're real eager to find that entry. And then once you get a taste of seeing the money grow, not even from like a greed part, like you just put the money there, just like the bank, and you see it grow. It's like, I need to have something in moving. That's why like once you get it, he's like, y'all get why they don't do banks or why they got all the money hidden, because that's where it's at. So I just feel like you not in the game. Speaking for myself, but I do believe that'll ease up over time from our knowledge and from the kind of plays that we will have in play. Go ahead, Jess.
This is the last part I wanted to add. I know we got to move forward, but one thing that I've experienced personally is on those days that do have low volume and you're not disciplined enough not to trade, your results will give you that lesson, right? Because the market won't move in the way that it normally does, and you'll wind up taking either smaller wins or you'll wind up taking losses on moves that you usually would be able to have at least some kind of profit on. That's personally why I love this game, because it keeps you accountable whether you want to listen to what people are telling you or not. There's a very, very quick and real response.
True. And that's what got me, like, everything lined up, but then it ain't moved. And every time it did move, it's because somebody was selling off. You feel me? It was like, I think people bought in terms of like, they saying buy more as it falls, but people weren't buying like they normally would buy to make a move. I feel like people that already had positions solidified their positions as opposed to people making plays. And then also the stimulus, like, I don't think the stimulus is gonna make that big a difference for real. You feel me? Like there'll probably be a lot of people come in and burn their 600.
I don't
Go ahead.
I don't see the stimulus really doing too much. Like you said, 600. I mean, if it's 2,000, if they do get it kind of improved within that higher range, maybe. But $600 isn't enough for people to stimulate. I mean, and then even at that, you get the 600. If 600 is the full amount, if you qualify for that. But as you increase in salary, it just gets smaller and smaller. Like that's not enough to me. It's a boogie.
I personally believe that I don't care if it was $20, right? But I think any kind of relief coming people's way was going to be good news, but that news was trumped by the such bad news coming out of the UK, which brought everybody's still in the mind frame of coronavirus and dealing with coronavirus. But when you get a chance to now introduce what is now a new strand, it creates a new sense of anxiety for people. And people, I believe, and this is sorry to say, but I believe the market and our societies always gravitate more towards the negative information than they do the positive. So while our government has committed to spending over $900 billion, a new strand is just more important and more captivating information that influence the market's moves than 900 billion. So I think it just shows the power of fear in today's market.
True. Good point. And you got to pay attention to the world and not just the country. You feel me? Like a lot of the companies that are traded here, got connections all over the world. So I don't know if this is true or not. I'm making this up, but like Tesla could go through problem XYZ because of some issue in Germany where they build their batteries. You feel me? So you got to be a lot more in tune with economics globally as opposed to just locally, meaning the country. And then like reading, like as we start paying attention to the alerts and stuff, like the alerts, I mean, the news don't come to you. Like the news that come to you is late. You feel me? You gotta start to put things together. And like Just said, you only see what you want to see. Like I haven't heard that Walmart news from nowhere else. Did y'all? The
About the
Walmart,
lawsuit.
yeah.
Lawsuit.
What Walmart news?
The lawsuit.
The Department of Justice is suing him for being a super major player in the opioid drug selling side.
Crisis.
Like selling the like the materials that they use to make the different kinds of opioids. Like Walmart was bending the rules so they could sell over the supply, but the Department of Justice just sued them this past week. That's a big deal, right? Well,
But it is, but it wasn't on the stock price. Like we watched it and we thought that it would kill the stock price, and it really didn't. It went down a couple dollars, but nothing, not as much as you would think it would, based on who was suing Walmart and what they were suing them for.
yeah, I'm interested to see how that see how that goes, because the 10 crossed the 20 and the 50.
Down.
Yeah, but I bet you that beta is probably low. No, not low. Yeah, low. That beta is probably low because it's Walmart.
Mhm.
But, well, yeah. Actually, let's pull that up and let's see that since we're on it. All right, so it's Walmart right here. And if I zoom out, you can see clearly since July, it's been in the uptrend. Then it hit a 52-week high up here, and it broke down.
Mhm.
And I noticed it's way easier to see, at least when you're looking at the indicators, if you put the line style on bar. That way it's all white gray kind of.
Mhm.
So when I put the moving averages on, you can see the 10 is a yellow, right? The yellow just crossed the blue 20 and the red 50 going down, right? So it broke the uptrend support and the moving averages just crossed. Plus that news about the opioids and stuff. And then there's not really too big of a squeeze on the bands, right? But it's already going down. So I'm assuming a squeeze would mean it's going to turn back up because it's walking this line down.
Right? It looks like maybe it bounced off that support that you had.
At one
down.
Yeah, right here. Right, but it bounced off this support, but on the trend line, that's also the trend line support too. You feel me? So once it hits this dotted white line, I would assume if it's going to keep doing the same thing, that's when it'll drop.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like the only thing saving this John is that it's Walmart. You feel me? Like they can't,
right.
They can't do nothing wrong. They can't do nothing wrong.
So just another piece of news, and I think I put it in the chart. I had been watching Walmart. I had a Walmart call a couple weeks ago, up until this past week, and I sold it right when you told me about the lawsuit. Yeah. I think I basically broke even. I think I might have got like a couple dollars. But the interesting thing over the past couple of weeks was that the Walmart board, so the CEO and the rest of the Walton family, basically, they have been selling thousands and thousands of shares over the past couple of weeks. So you think about Walmart and you ask yourself, why would the owner sell their shares? Then that news came out about the lawsuit, and it made sense. So in addition to reading the charts, back to what you were saying about news, it's important to kind of watch that type of information, because that's usually, or it can be, an indicator of either good news or bad news coming down the line. If the owners are selling, then something's up, right?
Mm-hmm. And then,
Yeah.
my fault. One question, then whoever that was can go. What do y'all something clicked for me this week. What do you think was the biggest week that we missed in March that said the market was going to crash? Or maybe it was February. It was 1 week, and Bill Gates is a clue. What did Bill Gates do this year?
Retired. He stepped down from Microsoft, right?
Remember that week, all them Fortune 500 CEOs and presidents stepped down?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, like Bill, all these people, like they can't, like, they still run the company, but they're not officially tied to it, or however they did it. But they all stepped down in like a week. And then after that, boom, everything dropped.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy because we was all asking, we was all trying to figure out like what was going on. Because I remember Disney CEO had stepped down. He might have been the first one or the biggest one at the time, and everybody was like, "Whoa, that was crazy." So yeah, I mean, damn, I never thought about it. I didn't think about it after everybody started doing it anymore.
Hey, and G, what you talking about? If you go on NASDAQ, you can see what G was talking about. So on the 20, Robson S. Walton, he sold 548,000 shares. Jim Walton, another Walton, 548. They all sold the same amount, clearly planned. All Waltons. So clearly they got the first information. For those of y'all who don't know, Walton are the Walmart people. Walton Mart. Another Walton.
They own Sam's Club too.
Huh?
They own Sam's Club too.
I missed whatever you just said.
They own Sam's Club.
Yeah, Walmart owns Sam's Club, yeah.
So how do you get to that part of that to find out that stuff?
Look, it's all this. Dang, come on.
I'm missing that.
Well, your internet is.
You going in and out, fam.
Y'all see my man Jason to the right?
Yep.
Man, be everywhere, dog.
Is it better now?
It seemed like
y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I took the screen down. All right, so go to NASDAQ, type in the ticker, and then on the left, you see all of the little links you can click. The third from the bottom is insider activity. So click on insider activity, and then it'll take a minute or two to load up, and you'll see all the information. If you go,
Question.
What's up?
Is there a general, you know how you can scan stocks? Is there like a general place that kind of announces these announcements about like executives within the company?
Nah, how did you know, G? You saw it on Benzinga?
So I was gonna say Benzinga probably is your best bet if you get Benzinga Pro. But I mean, I read about stocks on Twitter. I read about it on StockTwits, even though it's a lot of bad information. I told y'all, you can go through all that bad information and you might just get that one good piece of information. And that's usually how I find information. I'll check Benzinga, I'll check Twitter, and stock twits.
Gotcha.
But this John got pages and pages just since in December. Like all the way through the fifth page is the Waltons selling.
And to be fair, a lot of that is not abnormal. People sell their stocks all the time, but it's just the timing. One thing you pointed out was that they all sold the same amount. I would assume that that's not common all the time, but maybe it is. I'm not sure. But just the timing of it this time seemed like it was calculated.
Yeah, and I ain't looked at everybody, but usually when I go here, it's not that many trades. Like this is by far
Right.
the most trades. So that's kind of weird. But it's also Walmart, so like you can't really compare Walmart to nobody else.
Right.
So that I'm curious to see what happens with that because all them sales, it broke the uptrend and the moving average crossed. So
what you thinking? What you got? How you gonna act?
I already have a put on it.
Oh, okay.
I got to put probably 2-3 days ago, well into the week, so like Wednesday, Thursday.
No doubt.
Yeah, so I ain't green yet, but it's down a little bit. Just a little bit. But yeah, so because I saw first when it broke the uptrend, but it ain't broken. So I knew something was different.
Mm.
Now, what else y'all looking at?
Just because I called it out last week, we can take a look at Cigna CI.
I'm gonna try to share my screen again, but if it starts tripping, I'm gonna let you try it. I think maybe because
All
we
right.
got 7 people this time.
Okay.
All right, so I see the M.
And last week, the biggest call out was that gap. So last week I said watch for a put. And I forget where I said I would potentially go in that because where it was last Sunday, I don't think any of us felt it was low enough to go in at the put at that moment. But I want to say we might have said if it goes below like 194, then look for the put. And the crazy thing is, it did drop below that. I actually missed the alert, but that might have been a good thing because it dropped below 194 and went as low as 191, I think. 191.53, but then it turned back up. So with the strategy I called out with it filling a gap, I might have missed out on that small win going from 194 to 191 because I was waiting for it to go lower. And you can see it actually touched that 191 and turn back upward.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go back over it. I'm not sure what it's going to do now. It looks like it's going back up at least to, you got to support at 203. And then what's the next one? 209?
Yeah, 209 and 220.
Yeah. Can you want to take a look at the moving averages, or would you say that's channeling?
Yeah, I would say that's channeling now.
Okay. I guess it did 2 rotations.
Well, I mean, we'll see because this is November. I mean, not November. Yeah, the beginning of November. Yeah, that's only about 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I would probably watch it to see if this 10 crosses the 50. If the 10 doesn't cross the 50, it's probably head back up to the 220. If it does cross the 50, you probably can look out for the gap down.
Right.
You feel me? And that's one
Yeah.
thing I lost track of too. I got caught up in the patterns, like seeing how things was moving, but I
Mhm.
wasn't checking off all the boxes with indicators. I mean, all of the indicator boxes. You feel me? Like I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, these two things look perfect, but then you can kind of solidify by making sure all the other ones line up. You feel
Right.
me? And like, cause if
Right.
one thing off, it ain't right. Like you
Right.
taking a risk. You
And
taking
that goes back to my point earlier about patience, because if you do check those indicators and you see that one of them is off, then it's better to take a step back and say, I'm not going to play it, than to convince yourself that, 3 out of the 4 indicators is right. So let me jump in.
yeah.
So it all
So
works together.
what I did, the biggest one for me, when I was getting them trades in a row, the first thing I was looking for was the moving averages. So
Mhm.
I went through the S&P in like 15 minutes. It was so much faster. I put the lines on bar, and I put the on the moving averages, and I just click through. If it ain't crossed, I left it alone. If it did
Mhm.
cross, I made sure it wasn't in a channel, because if it's channeling, that don't mean nothing. And I made a new watch list with those, with the alerted
Okay.
ones. So now, like, even if I see it's like 2 weeks away, but I see the cross coming, I'll put it on the list, and I just watch
Mhm.
those. Um, and that way you kind of eliminate. I don't want to say eliminate the risk. You eliminate the risk of taking an uncalculated risk. If that makes
Right.
sense, you know.
Now that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. What
But
else?
I just wanted to come back to this real quick, only because I called it out and it didn't necessarily work out. So I wanted to talk about what happened. And to your point, it could, if that 10 does cross the 50, it could go back and fill that gap, which is one of the biggest things I look for. So I'm gonna keep my eye on it, but it didn't necessarily pan out this past week like I thought.
I can't take this rectangle off.
Click it and
All
hit
right.
delete.
I don't know. Don't worry about it. It ain't working.
Uh,
I got another joint too, which is I can't remember. INCY. I don't know what it is. INCY. Insight. Okay. Come on. All right. So you zoom out. So since the pandemic came and it flew up instead of going down. That joint flew up. And for the company, it's a pharmaceuticals company, healthcare pharmaceuticals company, and biotechnology and medical research. So it makes sense that it went up during the virus. So it flew up from March, but been trending down since July, right? So clearly in a downtrend until November, where it channeled, and through the beginning of December. So I have
That triple bottom right there
right here,
led
1,
to a
2,
gap
3.
up.
You talking about right here? And I can see,
After the downtrend.
boom. I said, all right, this had a hell of a trend, and the 10 ain't crossed the 50 since August, and that was going down. It hasn't crossed the 50 up since April. So all the way since April, it hasn't crossed the 50 up. But on the 21st, it crossed the 50 up. So I was like, all right, I got in right as it crossed. Right as it crossed. All right. I ain't really care about the time of day. I just wanted to get in at the beginning of the cross, right? So it's crossed up. Then I put the bands on, and you can see it ain't the tightest squeeze in the world, but it's the tightest squeeze in a long time. Since like March, February. So it's got the tightest band squeeze since February. It's got the moving average cross since March. It's got the volume over 1 million for me, over 1 million. See, the thing that got me though, the K. So this John, it be right, except it just don't tell you when. Right. So it's saying it's about to go down at some point. But just because it go down don't mean that it won't swing back up. So that was one thing I was wary of. And the last thing I check is the MACD, and that don't look too bad. That don't look too bad. But the biggest thing I saw was the cross of the moving averages, because they haven't crossed since March. What y'all think?
It looks good. The breakdown you gave, I mean, explained it all. I don't think it's
Any
not much to go against you on. I'd just be curious to see how high it goes, but it sounds like you got in somewhere around like 80, 83. Oh no,
Probably
85.
86 or so.
Okay.
86 something.
So if you break that resistance, you might got some space to run.
Yeah.
That resistance at 88.
Resistance.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
any news out about the company?
Any news? Not that I remember.
What's gonna drive people to that stock?
That's why I was asking about the news. Because news always drive the volume up.
Now I heard they're like a biomedical or biopharm company, right?
Correct.
Are they in any
Yeah.
Are they in any trials? Are they expecting any results coming up from any of their phases?
I don't think so. I know I saw it on Benzinga, so something happened with it. Something happened.
Okay.
But of course, my joint ain't working. Maybe G can look it up. But it ain't working for me.
I'll take a look. I'll let you know.
Trying to close some of them pages out.
Nah, it's because of the stream. Like my computer don't have it.
412.
See, and now it's working. As soon as I took the share off, it came on.
Where I'm about to you said it was INCY?
Yeah.
That's
It's like I saw news or I saw options activity. Like on Benzinga, like bigger option plays, they post them all on like a draft board kind of. So if you see 250 options, that means something going on. The last news I saw an option alert. Somebody bought how many of these? It don't say how many.
Hold on. So there's I'm on seekingalpha.com. It says Insight financially strong with solid cash flows from approved products, a healthy cash balance, negligible debt. Sales of existing products are growing at double rates. Good pipeline of products, including products recently entering the market. Expect more products within the next 12 months. Potential profit revenues. Insight is considered a buy at current share price of $83.25.
And I'm seeing they submitted a new application for some kind of cream.
Yes, that's the new products within the next 12 months.
Ruxo Liniment or something. But that news was from yesterday. they got some kind of new product coming.
There you go. So that's that's one of the biggest aspects of like the scalping approach that I'll take is you're looking for catalysts that are going to drive even people who are not even familiar with the company to that stock, because you want the volume to really you want volume to go up so that you can have enough people back in the stock break through these resistances for you to be able to make sure your trade, I don't want to say worth the trade, but yeah.
And they are doing a trial, Jess. They're doing a trial of, I can't even read it, some medicine of COVID patients in New England. And they're in phase 3 with 1,000 patients from 67 sites in 8 countries.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna check one website that I usually use. It's called. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Just gonna leave us on a cliffhanger.
I'm gonna check to see if it's on here.
Yeah, no, but I was like, it's called. Everybody just was quiet. What's it called, Just?
It's called biofarmcatalyst.com.
Biofarm Catalyst.
And you want to go to that. Yeah. BIOPHARM catalyst.com. And essentially it is it's the place where all of the biopharm medical stocks are, and you can look at that on the left hand side. You can click Catalyst Calendar, and essentially it will tell you it will give you the upcoming dates for any of these companies that have upcoming deadlines, when they will apply for public approval, or when they have to give results on certain phases of their trials, and any date that comes out when there's going to be a catalyst, i.e., results from a certain phase, lock in pre-market usually to those stocks, because they will usually give the information out, and you will see that 5 to 15% jump. If it's positive news, it'll jump up. If not, sellers will come in, or bears, and they'll come in and short the stock 5 to 15%. You'll see that that movement pre-market. Now that's just an approach for what's the word I'm looking for? For scalping, but it's extremely volatile and extremely dangerous at times. So if you ever wake up and you see these companies that you've never heard of that are like they have the most activity and they're up like 80% pre-market, you're like, what the hell? Well, how do people hear about this? 9 out of 10 times they're all biofarm stocks.
Do you pay for this, John, or you just do the free? Because I'm looking at
no, it's absolutely free. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm looking at the chart, and it says to view the catalyst dates, the ratings, earnings dates, and cash burn data. You gotta sign up.
Nah, so let me check your screen. I'm on my screen. Oh, you didn't share. Okay, so if you go to the left-hand side of the screen, it'll say Catalyst Calendars. See that?
Look right here. Like I went to the page of the stock.
Okay, no. So it'll say. Yeah, but hold on. Let me go to that page that you're on. I can't see good. Upcoming catalyst.
Yo, it's
okay.
always,
Yeah, so you don't necessarily have to. I ain't hear you,
Cut out.
KG.
No, I said it always chuckles me seeing you navigate through technology, Jeff. Yeah,
Dude said chuckles.
it does, yo. Because I don't think y'all understand like how much he struggles with technology.
Old man Jess.
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about, Jess? He froze. All right.
Dang, I spoke too soon. Look. Dang. My
I'm
bad,
looking at
Jeff.
it too, though. I think
Froze.
what you're saying, if you go to the Malk, I
I
think you
thought he
went
was
into
mad as hell for a second.
Go ahead, G.
I think you went into a specific ticker. If you go just to the calendar, it'll show you all the tickers. And then I think if you try to dive into a specific stock or company, then you probably have to pay to get more information. But he probably just uses it to see like an overview, which might be
Yeah.
enough to do. Yeah, I think that's all he was saying. I think you took it one level too deep, which you then have to pay for.
Yeah, I got that part. I was just asking, do he pay for it? Like, yes or no?
Okay.
You feel me?
That's it.
it. I should have known Jess wasn't paying for it.
But I'll say to his point, it's no different than like earnings or a dividend because you don't know how the phase 2 or phase 3 trial is going to go. And if you're anticipating that the stock is going to skyrocket because of a successful phase 3 trial and it goes wrong, it's just like how when earnings don't go as well as planned, then the stock drops. So to his point, it's risky.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's definitely risky.
Yeah, scalping in general is risky. I mean, trading in general is risky, but especially scalping.
But even if you did this as a strategy, even if you weren't scalping it and you said, I'm going to get in at the beginning of the week because I know they're supposed to announce their phase 3 trial results on Wednesday. No different than you saying, I'm going to get in at the beginning of the week because I know earnings are on Thursday. It could go well for you. It could go really bad for you. So you just got to be careful.
Yeah.
And set your stop losses.
That too.
But you can't do that on no option, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
You could do a limit sale, bro, and just sell the contract at a certain price.
True.
Based on the I think we talked about this before. It would be based on the contract price, not on the total price of. I guess it's kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
but you would set your stop loss on the contract price.
Yeah.
Because that John go down when options go down, bro. It'd be red as hell, dog.
They move quick. That's why that entry is so important. You know me? The entry point. And they only take like $1 or $2 for you to make some bread. Like they don't gotta go flying.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
I'm starting to learn though. I'm starting to learn that you can do options, or for me, I when I took that 200, I think it was like $273 loss or whatever. I was like, how could I? All right, let me learn from this loss as much as possible. And so I looked at a couple of different variations of how to approach trading and try to get the same or similar amount of profits, but without as much risk. And then I thought about, okay, let me look at the lower stocks that are like $5 or less, and look at those price movements and see if I can get the same amount of profit. You know what I'm saying? But the movements are a little less volatile, or it's a little less sharp. And I did pretty well with options that were lower than like $5 and stuff like that, as well as realizing that you could just buy or use how much money you want and just buy a stock and then sell it, so like day trading or whatever. But that way you don't have to say, if it's hundreds of dollars, you don't want to put that much down. You could just put like half and just buy the stock, and as price moves as you wanted to, you could kind of just sell. It's just, for me, that $300 loss didn't feel good, but it stung. So I was just finding out, how can I do this options game still and not take hundreds of dollars losses because my account for my options trading ain't that big. And so I was like, I still want to do the options. But yeah, those are just some other variations I found you can do.
Yo, like, you need losses. Like, we only here today because of losses. You feel me? Like, you can watch every video, you can read every book, you can paper trade every limit, market, option, whatever, but you gotta do it.
Yeah.
Like, once you use, like, we all got more or less the same information, but we all interpret in our own way, and we all kind of play it in our own way. And it's like, I think like all of our strategies be right, but we got to get the right timing. And the only way you know if your strategy is right is to take them L's. Like, your timing can just be off, and you close your eyes and you swung and you hit a homer. You feel me? But as you do it over time, you don't really learn until you take those losses. You feel me?
Yeah.
And
well, my bad, Mal. Keep going.
That's why most people lose. That they say that 90% of people lose. I believe because most of them don't finish their rookie season. It's like once they lose, like, I'm gonna stay out of that. I can't lose no more. Like, the possibility of gaining is gone. And I believe that's why the average return is 10%, but only 10% make money. So they're making a massive amount of bread. And I guarantee you they all lost. And they all still do lose. Like, all you gotta do is hit 2 out of 3, yo. 2 out of 3 and lose fast. Lose, like, decided how they say on the field, like, just did it to a fault, like, play fast.
My boy said lose fast. I ain't never heard that in my life.
It's like, it's basically saying if you're gonna lose, at least do it like fast and full speed. So like next time, like, I can't do it. We talked about this last week when you had your aha moment.
Bars are
Right,
gold.
like reps it, like bar goes. Whatever you do, you can't learn how to shoot if you just watch videos of Steph Curry the whole time, right? You actually got to do the motions and the movements of what he does. So, and that's similar to anything in life, though. Like, in life, if you're gonna try to really, if you're gonna attack that, you're gonna have to go through those losses of whatever it is before you can really start winning. And earlier in March, right, we started winning for a little bit, but we had no idea what was going on. We seen some wins, and then we got hype, and the next thing you know, we got smacked in the face, and then we was like, nah, we got to learn a little bit better. Practice over time, and now we have a platform like this because we feel confident enough that we understand what's going on, right? But this, like Malk said, this whole streaming podcast is all because of the L's and the big L's that we took.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, agreed.
You got something to say, Just?
You on mute, Scully.
Go ahead, Just.
No, I was just gonna share 3 plays that I had. But KP, I'm not sure if you wanted to share something before then.
Oh no, it was kind of in tune to that, but it was with the whole pharmacy, and I was just talking about like I know J&J, Johnson & Johnson is supposed to be having like the vaccine, so I would be interested to see. I gotta dive deeper into this biopharma to see exactly where they are at the stages, but I'm hearing like around March, but who knows?
And just for clarity,
I think
I'm gonna let you go, Jess. But for clarity, what I mean by lose fast, I mean get out fast. I don't mean lose all your money in 5 seconds. I mean, like, if you, all right, once I'm down 10%, as soon as it hit 10, I'm out. What'd you say?
Risk management.
Exactly. And stay disciplined to it. Stay disciplined.
For sure.
All right, all yours, Jess.
Yeah, just 2 seconds on risk management. So for me personally, that is the area that is most important for me as a trader, for 2 reasons. One is because my primary style of trading is scalping, So I'm looking at very, very short windows, and being disciplined enough to set a stop loss is the area of growth that I'm focusing on, that I've been doing better in over the last several weeks. But that, quite honestly, has been that was my Achilles heel in the beginning of my trading career. Not really understanding the power of stop losses or risk management, because the goal is to be able to live to trade another day. But also at the same time, when you're scalping, man, you can flip the coin very, very quickly. You could have a profit of maybe like 5% of the stock price, and then you can be down 20% of the stock price, literally within minutes. And that takes a toll on the individual, of course, financially, but also like there's an emotional toll that you take because you're riding that wave with it as well, right? So I just wanted to speak to the importance of that. But the three plays, and these are more so like swing play opportunities, right? Anywhere potentially from maybe 1 to 5 or 6 weeks that you're looking to hold, whether it's options or stocks. The first that came up on my radar is Alibaba, so ticker is BABA. And also just to give a little bit of background, the reason that I chose these three stocks is because they were either top losers or top gainers of last week. And from my experience in the market, if a stock loses a lot, anywhere above 10% over the next series of days, it has to give some of that money back, right? Very, very naturally. Anytime there's a huge pull down, it's followed by a pullback, which would be in the opposite direction, which is giving gains back. And then, which is also true about any top gainers, they will eventually give some of that money back over the next series of days or weeks. So, yep, if you zoom in, can you actually take off the EMA and any other indicators? Yep, that's fine, perfect.
And it's going down here.
So can you zoom in right?
I ain't even
Yep.
see it.
Can you zoom out a little bit? Yeah, can you zoom out a little bit? Yep, that's perfect right there. Okay, so basically we're looking at the right side of the screen, the third half of the right side of the screen. You will see a huge dip from, what is this? Yep, right where Malcolm, what is that, maybe around $290. You will see a gap between 290 and about 279 that, can you put your cursor over Malcolm so the viewers can see, or at least we can see. Right there, that's that huge gap initially, that the goal was for it to fill that gap. And I believe that it was on the uptrend to do that. However, Alibaba is sitting in a space with the rest of the Chinese stocks that are kind of sitting in limbo because of the news that came out about Trump signing some kind of legislation that will delist them over the next 2 to 3 years if they're not in compliance with whatever accountability measure. Okay, so Alibaba, NIO, and a series of other high-performing stocks got wrapped up in this bad news. And you're getting an opportunity now to buy in much lower than you would have normally without that negative information, because their trajectories were amazing, right? So it did not fill that particular gap, the first gap between 290 and 279, because of the poor news. However, you can also see now we have another series of poor news that has either come from maybe coronavirus activity or lack of stimulus, or now they're bringing back up to the forefront these Chinese stocks being delisted, and people are buying into that information. And now you're seeing it, you're seeing it testing a whole nother level of support at the bottom around, right now it's sitting around 222, and the support is around 215. Now it has tested 215 already, And you can see where the majority of the activity from Friday, not Friday, but Thursday, you can see that it was mostly within that 222 range. So yes, it did test 215, but it quickly left that area. So to me, that's an indicator that that's a very, very strong support. And that over the next series of days, it will at least trend back up to test that 247 resistance on the way back up to filling the original gap. So my intention in this would be maybe over the next couple of days, it will then confirm 215 is a very, very strong support. It may test it again. It may or may not. But my ideal entry point would be somewhere closer to around 215, under 220, because then that will give me the space to then hold it through the 247, and then ultimately with the hopes of it filling the original gap up to 290, right? Now, remember, that sounds like a lot of money, you know, $70 on this stock, but remember, we're talking about a series of 1 to 5 weeks, and we're also talking about, hey, you know, at any given time, this stock has moved $60 in a day sometimes, right? You can see on the first gap, it had moved from 279. Okay, so maybe not $60. I'm jazzing it.
It's 11.
So about 280 to 267. So
The other
yeah, maybe
The other
below.
day it dropped, what's that, 30? $35 the other day.
Right. So I mean, you're talking about right now. It has to find stability, and I think it will around the 215 mark. But you see the opportunity for the upside, because even looking past the poor news, right, and these threats of being delisted, Alibaba, for all intents and purposes, may or may not be the international raw product version of Amazon. Number two, they have a world market. Number three is that with this wave of entrepreneurial activity that is now a norm in our generation, there are more people that are looking for ways to close the gap between retail materials and creating products, and Alibaba is a way to do so. They just have a huge upside. It's a growing company, and a lot of the indicators around their earnings, revenue, and free cash flow show that the company is still growing, right? It's headed in a positive direction. So I think these are the dips that you would buy, and more than likely around that when it begins to trend up from the 215, because I believe it will test it again, that will be an ideal entry point, holding anywhere from 1 to 5 weeks, and you're looking to get, you know, maybe 10 to 20% profit. Obviously, if you're going to hold it through the 290 mark, it would be much more. But I think it's a little bit risky, given we're in the midst of transition in our country between coronavirus and leadership. So I wouldn't necessarily offer anybody to hold it through them filling the gap up to 290.
Well, just look at this. Like, I'm over that gap thing. I gotta learn. Like, I know it's gonna feel, but I see it feel when it want to feel. But this moving average is smack down, like straight down. Like, say if you would have caught it here when it crossed, boom, you got in at 280 and you out at 210. That's $70, right? So I'm off this joint, right? But because that's going straight down. And if you look at the 200, that would be the next point I look at, because the stock just went way past the 200, and the other indicators are coming for it soon, right? So it may start filling up the gap up, or it may start going down to these other resistances, a big strong one at 176, right? So all the news and all that is saying it, but be patient with that entry, because the moving average is like literally like off a cliff right now, off a cliff. And if we check go ahead.
No, I was saying, so for me personally, this is more of like a watch list stock, right? I would have to see over the next series of days if it can hold that 215 support. before I would even enter.
Yeah, I'm already long though.
Yeah, long definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
Long
yeah.
definitely.
100%. Like just the company alone. Like on they don't what's Prime Day, right? Amazon has.
Mhm.
Alibaba has one called something else. But they did like theirs was like 2,000% bigger than Amazon's. Like it was ridiculous. It was just in the last 2 months or so. Like in one day. It was
Wow.
stupid crazy.
Yeah, I might just buy another stuff. Just accumulate more.
But still,
Alibaba.
watch it though, Dev, because if it's gonna fall more, you would rather buy it lower than higher. You feel
You
me?
buy dips, fam. You buy the dips on
It
things
might-
that you're long on, things that you're long and you want to accumulate over time. You just buy the dips and then move on. I thought I'm long on Alibaba just because of the potential it has, and China being the largest economic source on the face of the planet. I just feel like, but I see that the Chinese government is getting a lot stricter, and I believe that is a main part of their falling. Like they were also getting like sued from China as well, and that was a big thing that they were going through. So yeah, but China had been doing that with a couple of different companies right now. Just like even like it was something petty with a lot of companies, like a $75,000 charge or something, but it was letting the Chinese companies know that they're going to be held accountable. But yeah, I'm about to dips Alibaba. I wish I'd have got in sooner, but yeah.
One thing I want to call out is the CEO of Alibaba, Jack Ma. To me, he's like the
Elon Musk. I knew you was gonna say that.
Yeah. So you got to really watch what he says, because you know how Elon does. He'll tweet something and that'll send the stock price crashing, or he'll tweet something and it'll shoot it up $80. So that's another part of this whole thing. I've been watching Baba too for a minute, but Jack Ma is definitely a big part of how that stock price moves.
I would also say, and this is a false statement.
What's up?
Would you say, Mount?
We heard G Mount.
I didn't. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Jess.
I would just say that with the upside potential that Alibaba has, if I'm a beginner investor, just to kind of speak to those people, I think you cannot go wrong with buying Alibaba if it does dip below $200. If you're looking to be a long-term holder, the upside potential in Alibaba, if you can get in under $200, is going to be ideal, quite honestly, because you will weather a lot of the storms that will continue to come because you're a long-term holder, but it will continue to, trend upward over the life of the stock.
Yeah.
Can I just offer the last? I had 3, but I just want to do one more. I know we're short on time. The ticker symbol is PDD, and the reason for this is because it was a top gainer. I just want to show the opposite of the opposite logic that I just shared with Alibaba, from essentially swinging the gap from a stock that dropped to one also swinging it back down from those that are top gainers.
Pinduo.
Yeah, so I've scalped this stock multiple times. It has a lot of high volume, especially around like earnings, of course, and just different catalysts and things of that sort. I'm not even sure what kind of company it is. That's my own ignorance, but I do know that it has a lot of price fluctuation. But what I've noticed from here is that it had a huge gap up. It further tested another high and created another 52-week high, but it's also been trending down from there, and it's had, if you can see, 3. After it's got to the 157 mark, it has tried to reach a high, from there over the last several days that has been rejected. Now, my expectation is that it will get to this 152, maybe 153 mark, and it will reject it. and it will continue to go down until now. Once you go back to the candles, you can see where the gap is that you can likely fill. So my expectation is that it will maybe test 157 at one point, either Monday or Tuesday, or Monday or Tuesday will definitely be a red day because it had such a huge gain that day. It has to give some of those gains back. So we're looking at a red day, definitely Monday or Tuesday, and then eventually I believe that it will begin to fill the gap between, let's say, I don't know if that's maybe 115, 117. If you go to the,
It's like 116.
Yeah, I would conservatively look to get out like just before 117, like maybe around 117.15 or something like that, to ensure I'm locking in my profits. But this will be a put situation if I'm talking about options, and it will be a short situation if I'm talking about shares.
But what if it keeps going up? Because like if you look at the bands, the bands are squeezing, and the moving averages are going up. You feel me?
Yeah. Once again, this would be something that I would look for further confirmation.
It looks like it's channeling too, Malk. So those moving averages in the bands might not mean as much.
Well, I'm including this as a trend, right? So it's a channel. It is a channel over
At the top, after the gap.
True. Yeah, I agree.
I didn't hear that last part.
Basically, when the stock is channeling, then the moving averages and the bands aren't as important. I think looking at it, just if you figure out what that channel is, which probably goes down to where it gapped up at, once it breaks that support, then you look to maybe get in on that put because it should start filling that gap downward.
I like it on the weekly candles as well. It's showing how much that it's been testing that 156 range, or like you see each of those candles is like testing that price action up top, and it just keeps getting rejected week after week after week. And I think being at the top of that is a good point to put into a put, even if the like you said, getting your taking your profits around 117, even just in this channel, like 156 to 130, or that 140 range is a nice little, like you said, time to see what price is doing. Because I would love to, if I get into a put, I like to get in at resistance, and that way my stop loss is or my potential loss is a lot smaller if it does end up going north, because I got in at resistance. But it also maximizes my possibility for gains when you know what I'm saying, put that put in at the resistance.
Hey, and I just want to highlight the cross again. If you got it where it crossed on October 20th, that was about 83, and it's been up to 163. So that's what I'm saying. If it ain't crossing, I ain't messing with it, bro.
I got you.
You can still trade it all these other days, and I'm just talking about me, but I'm just highlighting the cross.
Nice rule to have. Everybody has to have their checklist of things that make them feel comfortable to get into a trade.
Yeah. And I don't want to be like, it just provides more assurance to me. And that's when I hit all them in a row, it was kept hitting this. When I got off of this, that's when I started hitting and missing. So just for context.
So I think that speaks more to everyone's risk tolerance, essentially, right? So maybe Malcolm is just less risk averse than maybe me, man. Like, I'm gonna give it a shot, especially if I'm not in a situation where like I would be more so on Dev's approach, right? I'm looking to get in somewhere around resistance, because at the very, very least, I know it's got to test once again the bottom of that channel. And that to me would be a win, essentially. Now I would look for it to break that support, but I'm also in a position to walk away if I see that it doesn't break that support.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? But
Yeah.
that's also very much a scouting approach as well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people.
because you can walk a lot of stocks down, man, that are consistently rejecting these resistances, even within these channels. Now, sometimes you have to be strategic about the price point that a stock has, but if you're talking about like a traditional beginner account size, if you're getting in stocks that are maybe like $5 and under, man, you can walk some of these down and you can profit $500, $600, $700 in a day off a small account if you can understand the channels, number one, and you can understand the support and resistance for that day, because support and resistance for that day will let you know it's just going to continue to ride that cycle or within that channel for the entire day. So if it ever does hit resistance, you can just short the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Now it may take a series of minutes or even an hour sometimes to then channel down, but you strategically set your stop losses, and you just have to be disciplined.
Yeah. Dang, Jess, not perfect. Yeah, that's the perfect segue. So what I was saying, I think it was Jess and KG talking about one of the keys to this, one of the biggest keys is being disciplined, right? And usually people who are not disciplined are not confident because they have a bad rapport with themselves. They tell themselves they're going to do something, they tell somebody else they're going to do something. And so many times they have proven to themselves that their word doesn't hold the weight they want it to hold because they don't do what it says, right? They don't do what their word says. And that's one big thing with trading. Now, I don't know about y'all. Every time I trade, like I close it, a win or a loss, I'll keep looking back again to see what the stock has done since I closed it. Did I get out at the right time? Did I leave some bread on the table? And then you start questioning and all that kind of stuff, right? But to bring it back home, that's why it's important to have that game setting mentality through life. Like people always think, oh, you just want to work out. Yo, working out, that's probably the best way for you to develop discipline, right? Yeah, I'm gonna do this even though I don't want to. I said I was getting up at this time, I'm going to get up. I said I was getting out at a -10 or a +20, I'm getting out, right? I gotta get in the habit of reading because I need to see something that's going to happen in Korea that I gotta search for that's not just gonna be on my ESPN alerts. You feel me? I gotta be mentally tough. Dang, I was down 400, but all my research said this is a good point for it to turn. Was you a sucker and you got out at 400, then you look back at close, you could have been up 400, so being disciplined and developing that kind of person, developing that kind of character, develop that kind of attitude. It's not just a working out thing. It's not just a reading thing. It's not just a business thing. It helps you become a better person, a stronger person, and it'll help you make more money too, or it'll help you save more money. Like that's how a lot of rich people make money. They save money by not paying taxes. You feel me? So they save money by not putting it out, keeping it in their pocket. But it's time to go. You want to say something, Jess?
No, I just appreciate y'all. I appreciate building with y'all, and I hope that us getting together this morning bless somebody, or at least created a little bit more confidence to step into this industry of stocks, man. Because I think for a lot of people that are new to it or have been able to pick it up during this pandemic, you can see like just the endless opportunities, man. Like this is a potential to really turn around your trajectory. And quite honestly, it's not a get rich quick scheme. Like this, I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all. Like this takes work and diligence, but there's so much more of an upside. There's so much more of an opportunity for endless wins that employment doesn't offer you, right? Now it also creates the opportunity for you to lose much more than employment will offer you as well. But I think that ties back into the discipline aspect that all of us are echoing at this point. and it just keeps. It's a beautiful thing to have income that keeps you disciplined, as well as a lifestyle that keeps you disciplined, right? Because it doesn't hey ma, but I think that I think it just echoes everything that we've talked about opportunity and staying disciplined, so that you can actually reap the benefits of the opportunity. Yeah.
Mhm. And maybe that's one thing we can do next week or the upcoming weeks. Like something I think we missed in terms of sharing, besides the obvious, is you got to have money to trade, right? And I know I've
Yeah.
been real intentional for years, like saving, but especially the past couple of years of increasing my savings account through a way that I had to learn. You feel me? Through reading and primarily from something that just hit me too. And we've all had uh, different routes to getting here. And I see just from people that I've interacted with, like people want to learn, but some people inside they're like, yo, I don't really got the bread to do this. So it's a different kind of buy-in, a lower level of buy-in. So I think maybe we can also offer some tips for revenue generation. That may be more risky, less risky, or whatever, but you also have to have the bread to trade. And something that really helped me was like, yo, I've been so focused on keeping these numbers here, these numbers there, and those numbers over there, that I don't have no numbers to use to make more numbers. So I had some new strategies that helped me get some liquid in my pocket to be able to trade. My man commenting, but he ain't on the call. You feel me? But yeah, I think we should
Can
spend
I
some.
offer something?
Yeah. Mhm.
Can I just offer something really, really general? It's not specific about basically, saving money. Uh, I do my best to keep things extremely, extremely simple in life, because it allows you to just follow it easier, right? And what has helped me to stay on that trajectory of saving is something that you heard, even if you don't attend church, but you hear about it all the time in church. You hear, pay God, pay yourself, and then everybody else gets paid after that. When I began to pay myself and make it a priority to pay myself, man, the growth of like just saving was great, but also it allowed me to have a lot less anxiety of having to have my job as well, because now I could actually have an account to show the work that I've been putting in at work, right? Because very, very naturally, we live in a society of consumers, right? All of us are taught to be consumers. And that's the reason why Amazon and all of these other major companies that allow their products to be purchased online have been booming during this pandemic, because despite people's financial hardship, we will spend. And when you pay yourself, you handicap yourself from a unresponsible level of spending, because the funds are just not there anymore.
Hey, Josh,
Right?
let's cap it because I know we can take this and run with it. Because the next thing after that is you change your mind first. You feel me? Like and you rock the boat.
Agreed.
A lot of different people because of the perspective that you had to be able to get to present day's position. So let's stop there. And let's bring that back next week. We can take it and run with it. All right. Everybody good? All right. Peace out.